Augusta County, Virginia, has been publicly named and shamed by the Department of Homeland Security. This week, DHS released a list of more than 500 so-called sanctuary jurisdictions across the United States, places the agency says are actively obstructing federal immigration enforcement. 20 of them are in Virginia, and Augusta County is one of them. According to DHS, these jurisdictions are guilty of deliberately defying federal immigration law and harboring criminal illegal aliens. The announcement follows an executive order signed by President Donald Trump in April. That order directed Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem and Attorney General Pam Bondi to expose local governments that refuse to cooperate with federal immigration authorities. The penalty? Potential loss of federal funding and public scorn. But in Augusta County, this story comes with a dark irony. Because long before DHS accused county leaders of harboring criminal aliens, that's exactly what their sheriff did, and continues to do. Between 2017 and 2024, Augusta County Sheriff Donald Smith protected a man named Felix Chujoy, a Peruvian man who was later convicted in federal court for human trafficking. Chujoy ran a human trafficking ring out of Inca's Secret, a family-owned restaurant in Harrisonburg. He smuggled workers from Peru, forced them into labor, treated them like slaves, and manipulated them with threats and financial control. When Chujoy faced federal charges and needed a car to drive and a place to stay, he didn't call his family. He called Sheriff Donald Smith, and Smith picked up the phone. Instead of turning that call over to federal agents or assisting the investigation, Sheriff Smith lied about it, first to federal authorities, then, under oath, to a grand jury. He claimed he had no relationship with Chujoy. He denied the contact, but he did loan Chujoy the use of his car. But the call logs told a completely different story. A Homeland Security agent detailed in an affidavit the extent Smith went through, including pretending to be random people when accepting Chujoy's calls to carry on his support for the convicted human trafficker. Now, should we be surprised that Augusta County is listed as non-compliant with federal immigration law? DHS Secretary Kristi Noem is using language that should sound very familiar to this community. In a statement, she said, "We are exposing these sanctuary politicians who harbor criminal illegal aliens and defy federal law. Sanctuary politicians are on notice. You must comply with federal law." In most cases, this might sound like political theater. But in Augusta County, the charge is more than rhetorical. It is historical. Because this is a county where the top law enforcement officer actually protected a criminal human trafficker from justice and lied to federal agents and a grand jury in the process. So, when local officials express confusion or surprise about DHS's decision, the rest of the state has to ask, what did you expect? You elected a sheriff who obstructed a human trafficking investigation. You allowed a law enforcement culture where protecting a human trafficker seemed more important than cooperating with federal law. And now that DHS is calling you out, you want to feign shock? Let's be clear. Augusta County may not have passed a formal sanctuary policy, but policy isn't the problem here. The problem is leadership. The problem is a sheriff who harbored a human trafficker and lied about it to the federal government. DHS has stated that all jurisdictions on its list will receive formal notifications of their non-compliance and will be required to revise their policies. Gap-2.16s. DHS has stated that all jurisdictions on its list will receive formal notifications of their non-compliance and will be required to revise their policies. Augusta County has not responded to the department or the announcement. To stay up to date on the latest local corruption news, subscribe to Breaking Through News on YouTube or at breakingthrough.com.